Sometimes the creatures we fear the most become the ones who save what no one else can * before the story begins. Remember to follow, like, and stay with us for more unbelievable true stories * in the quiet outskirts of a fading wildlife sanctuary. Far from the noise of cities and untouched by the chaos of human ambition, something extraordinary was stirring beneath the surface, something that would bind predators in a way no one could have imagined, and it all began when two Rottweilers named Brutus and Cora were brought to the sanctuary as guardians for the aging animals that still called the place home. Brutus carried himself with stoic discipline, his heavy frame moving with the calm confidence of a seasoned protector, while Cora balanced his seriousness with her warm, alert nature, always scanning her surroundings, always ready to defend their territory together. They had become the silent heartbeat of the sanctuary, walking the perimeter each day, watching over creatures far weaker than themselves, but nothing prepared them for the day. A pale, staggering form emerged slowly from the line of trees at dawn, an enormous white lion, whose ghost-colored fur seemed almost translucent under the rising sun. He walked with a limp breathing, with a strained rasp, each step punctured with pain, and though his once mighty mane still framed his face in regal power, his eyes told a different story. His strength was slipping the sanctuary. Staff rushed forward in shock because this lion named Cairo had been missing for weeks after escaping during a storm that shattered a section of fencing. He had been famous, once admired for his rare color and impossible beauty, but now he barely clung to life, his ribs visible beneath his fur, his legs trembling as he collapsed at the entrance. Brutus and Cora stood frozen when they first saw him, muscles tightening, instinct bracing for danger, for lions were no ordinary threat. But something in Cairo's collapse, something in his broken breath made the Rottweilers pause, and that hesitation shifted the course of everything that followed. The staff transported Cairo into a quiet rehabilitation pen hidden beneath tall eucalyptus trees, their leaves whispering endlessly above the earth, and the Rottweilers lay by the outside fence every day, watching silently as veterinarians fought to keep the lion alive, his body weakened by infection, dehydration, exhaustion, and grief, for no one knew what he had endured during his disappearance. The uncertainty. Brutus began lying closer each day, his eyes fixed on Cairo's fragile movements, while Cora approached more cautiously but with a determined softness, and soon the staff noticed something impossible whenever the Rottweilers appeared. The lion seemed to breathe a little easier, as if the presence of these unlikely watchers gave him strength. Weeks passed, and Cairo fought his way back from death, step by agonizing step, sometimes collapsing, sometimes pushing through with sheer will. And though predators and dogs were never meant to coexist, the Rottweilers sensed the fading king's loneliness and responded in ways no one could have predicted. They lingered by his enclosure through storms, through dark nights, letting him feel he was not alone in his struggle. But life took an unexpected turn when Cora gave birth to a litter of tiny black-furred puppies, each one small and warm, with faint squeaks slipping through the quiet dawn. The staff kept the pups in a protected space near the treatment building, but Cora, who trusted no one with her young, except Brutus, surprised everyone when she led the pups toward the recovering lioness. First the staff panicked, but Cora moved with certainty, her tail low but confident, and when she placed her pups near the edge of Cairo's enclosure, something unbelievable happened. The dying lion, struggling to rise, leaned forward, not with the hunger of a predator but with the gentleness of a creature who remembered a life before suffering. He touched his nose to the pups through the fence, his breath soft, warm, almost fragile, yet steady. Brutus watched closely, ready to intervene, but the lion only lowered his head beside the puppies, as if shielding them with his massive form. And over the next days, something deep, powerful, and unexplainable grew between them, a bond that defied every rule of nature. Cairo began recovering faster than any vet predicted each day. He rose earlier, walked farther, ate more, and the Rottweilers seemed to understand his transformation, because they brought the pups to him again and again, letting them tumble near the fence, letting the lion watch over them, as though guarding what he could never have himself. Then one night, everything changed. A distant rumble echoed through the sanctuary, not thunder, but something heavier, something filled with intention. A group of poachers had crossed the outer boundary under cover of darkness, hunting the rare creatures housed inside, especially the white lion, whose rumored value had spread like wildfire. The Rottweilers sensed the danger before any human did, both standing at full alert, bodies stiff, ears, focused eyes burning with instinctual warning. And when the intruders moved deeper toward Cairo's enclosure, Brutus and Cora charged into the darkness without hesitation, barking with a force that cut through the night like a blade. But the poachers were armed and unafraid, and as the Rottweilers faced them alone, their puppies sleeping nearby, the sanctuary fell into chaos. And it was in that moment, when life and death pressed together, that the dying white lion made a choice that stunned everyone who later witnessed the aftermath. Cairo rose, not slowly, not weakly, but with the fire of a beast reborn. He turned toward the fence with an intensity the staff had not seen in months, ready to do the unthinkable, to protect the Rottweiler pups with everything he had left. Cairo pushed his massive body against the weakened fence with a growl that rumbled through the ground like distant thunder, his once fading strength now rekindled by a single instinct: protect the young, protect the ones who had shown him the purest form of trust, even when he had nothing left to give. Brutus and Cora were already battling the poachers, snarling, lunging, dodging the glinting metal. The intruders carried sharp tools meant for cruelty, not survival, but the Rottweilers refused to back down their bodies, moving with fierce determination driven not by training but by devotion to their pups and to the lion they had somehow accepted as part of their strange, fragile family. Poachers stepped closer toward the pups, unaware that the quiet shadow behind the fence had awakened with deadly resolve, and as they raised their weapons toward Cora, the weakened wire mesh behind them groaned loudly under Cairo's weight, the metal bending, twisting, cracking, until with one final surge, the giant white lion burst through the sight, froze the poachers where they stood. His pale fur illuminated by the hazy moonlight, his mane wild and electric, his eyes blazing with a fury that had been dormant for too long. He roared a long, deafening sound that rolled across the sanctuary like a tidal force, a sound that declared, the king had risen. Brutus leaped forward with renewed courage. Cora joined him, teeth bared, united with the lion who stood towering beside them, and for the first time, predator and dog fought as one unstoppable force. The poachers stumbled backward, tripping over roots, scrambling for ground, no longer hunters, but prey fleeing from creatures bound together by something stronger than fear. The battle raged through broken branches and scattered leaves, until the intruders turned and fled into the woods, disappearing into the darkness, leaving behind only their shattered intentions and the echo of Cairo's final warning roar that shook the treetops when silence finally settled. Brutus limped weakly toward the pups, whining softly, checking each one with trembling urgency. Cora nudged them close, her nose brushing their tiny bodies, counting them, ensuring none had been touched, while Cairo stood wounded but unwavering above them, chest rising heavily, sides streaked with blood from reopened scars. The staff arrived moments later, breathless, eyes wide in disbelief as they took in the scene. The broken fence, the terrified puppies huddled in the Rottweiler's shadow, and the enormous white lion standing guard over them with a presence both fierce and strangely gentle. No one could explain it. No biology textbook, no behavior manual, no wildlife training could account for why a dying predator had risked everything for dogs and their pups. But Cairo knew deep within the battered rhythm of his lion heart, he knew that the Rottweilers had given him something he had never known: devotion. Beyond species friendship, beyond instinct, love without condition, and he had returned it in the only language he understood: through sacrifice, through protection, through the courage to stand against death itself. Slowly the staff approached, placing blankets around Brutus and Cora, and carefully lifting the pups into their arms, but when they turned to move, the lion stepped forward as if insisting that he would walk beside them every step back to safety, and though his legs trembled and fresh blood darkened his fur, he followed them, until he collapsed gently onto the ground beside the Rottweilers, refusing to let distance come between them. Passed, and the story spread through the sanctuary like wildfire. Volunteers whispered about the impossible bond between predator and dog. Visitors arrived only to stand in awe before the sight of Cairo lying peacefully, while the Rottweiler pups crawled over his massive paws and tangled themselves in his mane, as though he were nothing more than a giant guardian carved from warmth and courage. If you want more powerful real-life stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and stay with us, because every tale reveals a truth that might change the way you see the world forever.